the girls have on The Bachelor or something, and I'm like, don't even put it on, okay? Because I'm trying to think of a movie, I can't hear this. But anyway, who got the rose?
From NME, and today we are talking to M. Night about his new movie, Old. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really well, thanks. I'm excited to talk about this because I have to tell you, first of all, I love this film. I had so much fun watching it. I watched through my fingers. I laughed out loud. I didn't know what the heck was going to happen next.
Thank you so much. We had the premiere, and some people were at moments, including my wife, would like do this or turn away, and I was like, well, you got to now watch it again. Now you can't like, if you 4% of the movie you're not watching it because you're doing this, that's not fair. I want you to look. So hopefully, maybe it looks. I should when I'm editing it, I should edit it like this so that I can see what you're seeing. So I could be like, what's left after you do this?
What a great strategy to get repeat viewers, though. I'd like to know where the idea for Old came from, first of all.
It was unusual. Most of my movies are just ideas that come out of my head, and I write them in journals, and then I kind of build on the idea, and then eventually, if the journal gets big enough and I feel rational enough, I go make a movie. But this one was a graphic novel that I have 3 daughters, and they collectively kind of went shopping and buy books for me on Father's Day, and they bought me this graphic novel. And it was this weird, at least in my mind, this is how the scene went. They went into a small little comic book store in Philadelphia, and there in the corner is this obscure graphic novel from France, and they pull it out and they're like, what is this? And it's like calling to them, and then they give it to me, and then I'm like, what is this? It was kind of miraculous. I read it and fell in love with it, and I didn't really tell them right away I was going to make a movie. I was just like, it's amazing. And I kept carrying it around with me. And what was really interesting, I started to carry it around with me the way I carry my journals around with me, the ones that I'm going to make into a movie. I just kept keeping it in my bag, and I kept it around even after I'd finished it, and I was just carrying it around because I wanted to be near it. And that's kind of, I think, the kind of falling in love period.
I love that you're seeing them picking up the present as its own beginning to a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your own relationship like with aging?
Pretty healthy, I would say. Strangely, I know I made this movie. For myself, pretty healthy. And maybe that's because it was kind of dysfunctional when I was a little kid, because I always looked so much younger than my age. So that was always my identity. So I'd be in middle school, I'd look like I was in lower school, trying to out for the teams, and I was half the size of everybody. And then we go to high school, and the girls are only interested in the guys that are just, huge. And I'm like this tiny little kid. I always looked like I wasn't even in high school when I was in high school. And then, for most of my life, there's always this feeling of a weird relationship with time. But now I think the thing I made the movie about wasn't necessarily myself aging, the fear of that, which is interesting because that would be naturally what you would think, but really the people around me, my loved ones and my parents aging, and scared about that. And my kids now, no longer can I tuck them in and then that's it. I know they're safe. They're upstairs in their room sleeping, but now they're adults. And you went to what club? Where? With who? What? What? And how did you get home? What do you mean? What do you mean? Who is this dude? I can't protect anybody anymore. I can't, times is moving on. And I'm like, no good. We need to keep it back the way it was.
Yeah, like that idea that they grow up so fast. I mean, it couldn't be more distilled than this.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to track them but they won't let me even track them on their phones. So at least I know what club they're in.
I enjoyed your cameo as well. What was that like to film?
You know what? I really enjoyed it. Sometimes it depends, if the movie is super stressful, because I'm still the director, and so got to keep things on track. I got to choose this and what curtain to use, and is this the right color of this shirt for this other character? Should we dye it a little bit more? And they're asking me a million questions, and then you have to go action, and then I have to act, and so it's a weird two parts of your brain. But I was really relaxed on this movie. For whatever reason, it just felt fun and light, and I was with the actors were so gracious that I was acting with, and they were playful with me, and so it made it very easy.
From a horror point of view, I'd love to know some of your inspirations behind the horror of this film.
Well, there's a bunch. I'm probably going to forget a lot because I get very affected when I'm making a movie. I'm very careful about what I watch, so if like the girls have on The Bachelor or something, and I'm like, don't even put it on, okay? Because I'm trying to think of a movie, I can't hear this. But anyway, who got the rose? No, I would be like, I'm trying not to get involved in any way. So I try to like watch very carefully. But on this movie, I was very inspired by a group of Australian movies that would probably fall under the Australian New Wave kind of moniker of that, which were kind of inspired by the French New Wave, kind of the movement of camera, which is more experiential and kind of fluid. And so Walkabout, which is probably the one that really affected me and Mikey, the cinematographer, the most. Picnic at Hanging Rock. You'll even see a shot, like the slow motion shot you see of them coming into the canyon and the dresses flowing as they walk in for the first time onto the beach. That's from Picnic at Hanging Rock. There's many influences. There's Kuronenko, which is this black and white Japanese movie, and the character is a ghost and walks through the forest with like a hood held over. You see there's a shot of this character Crystal with the kind of holding her hood up and walking kind of like a ghost of the person of who she was. So there's always these influences from all these amazing movies that I try to curate each movie that I'm watching. I'm very careful about what I watch.
This is great because now we've got like a watch list to follow up with after. I really like that it's like this combination of, you've got some full-on horror imagery, but then you've also just got the unsettling sort of, almost like Michael Myers standing in the background, kind of unsettling feeling as well.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you
balance those things? It's definitely, I try to move through the movement of the genres is really important. And by that, I mean, when you go from drama to mystery, when you go from mystery to thriller, when you go from thriller to supernatural thriller, when you go from there to horror, you have to kind of cascade it and move it. And then when it's very hard to come back again. You can't go that way. You have to go this way. It escalates. And so making sure that that's careful, that it goes from uneasy to shocking, is when do you do that?
At the ending of the film is pretty unambiguous. Is that fair to say?
I guess so. Yeah. You mean like it has an answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Was it always that way, or did you ever have any alternate ideas in mind before settling on this final cut?
No. The structure of the movie was always this way, that why they're on the beach was always there in my head from go when I read the graphic novel. And there's a couple frames in the graphic novel that in my mind insinuated this. And so that's where my imagination went when I read those images in the graphic novel. So it was always kind of like, that's when I said, I'm going to make the movie, because I was like, oh, I know what's going on here. What about deleted scenes? Were there any things you filmed which didn't make the final cut that we'll see in cinemas now? What's really funny about that question on this one, and I keep wanting to really do a deep dive into this thing that you just asked me, because it's a very strange movie for me and very different than the others, because there's very few deleted scenes. And that's super surprising. The scenes got trimmed, got tighter, each scene got tighter just to the essence of it as you move, because I wanted to have the tumbling thing, but very few scenes were cut out. In fact, they're trying to put together what's going to go on the Blu-ray, right? The deleted scenes of the extras, and there's so few. And I went, how is this possible? Because normally there's like 15 or 20 scenes that I don't have in the movie from the screenplay, and they don't make it into the movie, but that wasn't the case with this one. Very interesting that way.
I read an interview where you were saying that not all your movies are scary, but they are all spiritual or emotional. Could you talk us through some of the like deeper meanings or themes in Old?
Well, yeah, it's definitely about our relationship to time, and in my opinion, very our dysfunctional relationship to time that we all have. Until we're forced to examine it, whether it's a pandemic or the kind of the factors that are on this situation for these characters, that they're trapped on this beach and they have to reflect on their relationship to time. And so you see some characters unable to navigate this, and then some characters find peace. And why do they find peace, and how do they find peace in the midst of all of this chaos? So there's it's a conversation about that, the one that I'm having, myself with time.
I also wanted to ask you, and you might get asked this a lot, but you've got such a huge back catalogue of movies, and you've had your own superhero thriller franchise, of course, with Unbreakable. But would you be up for directing a big Marvel or DC movie?
I'm not sure. I mean, look, they're all wonderful, and when we've had conversations about those, I find that the thing that's exciting for me and exciting for the audience is when I'm pokey, when I'm weird and different, and it's like I can't believe he did that. You can have a visceral reaction to it one way or the other, but it's not been curated is the fun part about it, that each of them are hyper original. And this is just me on a personal front, would feel scared to do that when they give me 100 million, 200 million to make the movie. I naturally will not do that because I will feel, I feel irresponsible that I'm going to then do this thing that will make you go, oh, he killed that person? What? That's crazy. You can't do that. And then we have a problem because I just spent $200 million of your money. So I don't know how to navigate that part of it, that my instincts are very, to get a rise out of you. That's my instinct. And I'm nervous about that equation of like, maybe if I said, hey, can I direct one of these movies, but only spend, I don't know, $18 million? Can we do that version of it? And then let's try. Let's try. And by the way, that would be a fun exercise if one of them wanted to do something like that.
Oh, that would be so good though. Is there a particular superhero in mind you've ever thought about? What your version?
I love them all. I really do. I mean, as you could tell, since I was a kid and when I did Unbreakable, the kind of mythologies of things are wonderful. And I think I'm very much drawn to, as obviously a lot of people are, to stories that it's our real world, but then they become extraordinary, and you are extraordinary. You just don't know it yet. Kind of that whole movement. That's like, yeah, that's what makes us feel good. And so I try to think of characters and things in that same way too, that make us feel a little bit, like maybe, there's something special.
Oh, it would be so good. But I love this film as well. And thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much. It was super fun talking to you.
Bye.